Thank you, Brady. I used to make software, and then I made board games, and now I make desktop lasers, and somewhere in the middle I met a man named Jordan Weissman, one of our investors. I was having lunch with Jordan, and I asked him what he was up to, because Jordan makes games, and I asked him what his latest game was, and he said, it's a new game based on a very old game that you've probably never played. It's procedurally generated. Now that means that it springs into being fully formed when you arrive, like a Schrodinger's cat, created from randomness and nothingness, and then disappears again thereafter into the ether. Procedurally generated means that the world isn't created by a level designer. It is created by code and by a random number generator. And it means that the game is different every time you play. This is the idea that he grabbed from this very old game that he decided to use. He also told me that this game was called Learn by Dying. That the game was so complicated and so difficult, and the only way that you could learn how to play it was by playing it and by perishing over and over again. Now let me take you back to 1983, where my father, a professor of computer science, took me to the University of California in Berkeley. And let me show you some of his coworkers. And let me show you a PDP-11. Now, in the 1983-1984 school year, there was one software program that consumed more CPU cycles than any other software program that year. Has anyone here played NetHack? Show of hands. Yes, this is not about NetHack. NetHack is a roguelike, and Jordan's game is a roguelike. Please allow me to introduce to you Rogue on my father's hand-built Heathkit terminal. Before you are the dungeons of doom, populated with fell monsters, a menagerie the likes of which have never been seen before. Look in terror from zombie to Aquator, moving reverse alphabetically, the monsters of Rogue. Aquator, by the way, is what happens when Dungeons & Dragons sues you for trademark infringement over Rust Monster, and you have to issue a .release patch to update all your monster names. But that's not all. Littered across the floors of the dungeon are tremendous treasures, the likes of which the world has never seen. Scrolls, glittering rings, piles of gold, and slime molds, because that's what you eat in a dungeon, I suppose. Let us visit. We see here our hero engaged in combat with a terrible emu. You'll notice that the view is overhead. That's because the creator of Rogue also created the curses library, which we still use today, which allowed the text to be placed anywhere on the screen, revolutionary at the time. You will also note that if you do nothing in Rogue, nothing happens. No click, no action, exactly unlike an Ignite talk. So you have the time to think, to analyze, and to unlock the secrets as you die repeatedly from traps, from trolls, from mostly trolls. But the thing that made Rogue a legend were the levels. 26 procedurally generated levels, delving down through the dungeon depths as you get lower and lower in search of the greatest treasure, the Amulet of Yendor. I've never seen it. My father told me what it looked like before he died. From a troll. It's a comma. I've been playing Rogue for nearly 35 years. Let me put it into perspective with this picture. This picture is 180 by 102 pixels. That means it's 50 kilobytes, or the entire size of Rogue. The whole game is smaller than that picture, but it holds more intrigue and adventure than anything you'll ever find. Now, I recognize that green is not for everybody. This is a very old game, and it uses very old graphics. But I do have good news. For those of you who like the more modern experience, Rogue has in fact been updated in scintillating color. So you can choose from a host of platforms to pick the design and appearance that's right for you. Now, I know that you may think of Rogue as retro, as something of the past. This is something that is very dear to me. My father has played Rogue for 30 years. I have played Rogue for 30 years. And my 7-year-old twins are now playing Rogue together with my grandfather and I. This game is not a piece of history. It is an amazing challenge, and you will not find its like anywhere. So I ask you tonight, go home, find a build for your operating system of choice, and give it a try. Thank you very much.